38 Chambers podcast. You know what it is, episode 2. And as always, I got my man, Muay Thai specialist, 38 Chambers founder, Dorian Price. Coach Dorian, to you weirdos, man. What's happening, Dorian?
Salute, brother. How's everything? How things going, man?
Man, it's all good. Just over here, still seeing how UFC is selective with how they want to punish people and talk about people when people say certain things.
Talk
Into the
about it.
chat, Bryce Mitchell, Dana White.
Talk about it. My man said, homeboy was a good dude. I mean, come on. Like that's my man's in them. Like they was at the go-go together or something.
Not the go-go. Hey. Yeah, what's up with this, man? Let's see. Bryce Mitchell, who's 30 years old, he made several, and I'm reading CNN, y'all. He made several anti-Semitic, homophobic, and transphobic comments during a podcast in which he also praised Adolf Hitler. Last Thursday, Dana White addressed the media about it and said, and I quote, "I've heard a lot of dumb and ignorant shit in my day, but this one is probably the worst." Yo, Dana, what about Colby Covington? I'll digress. Oh, I know we're talking about Conor McGregor too, but I digress.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about Adolf Hitler. This is Dana White. He was responsible for the death of 6 million Jews, and he tried to completely eliminate a race of people. They did that here in America too, Dana White. Don't forget that. Your guy Trump.
They also, no one wants to speak on King Leopold.
Oh,
King Leopold,
the Congo.
Everybody in the Congo, man. If you compare the two of them, Hitler don't have nothing on what King Leopold did. I mean, so, but you'll be fine to say we can sit on air all we want, man. You know, hey, you get everybody. King Leopold was my man's in them. You can say what you want, and won't nobody say nothing.
That's a
but
fact.
Let's not forget about King Leopold.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Side note, I know that company, De Beers Diamonds, when they do all of these little commercials and whatnot, they are a direct descendant of the King Leopold era.
Yeah.
Dana added, Hitler is one of the most disgusting and evil human beings to ever walk the face of the earth, and anyone that even tries to take an opposing position is a moron. That's the problem with the internet and social media. You provide a platform for a lot of dumb and ignorant people. Now, Dorian, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't Dana White provide a platform for the most dumb and ignorant people I've ever seen in sports?
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
But that was a well-written and well-crafted letter from Ari Emanuel saying you better address this immediately. Dana read and followed the script as he's supposed to.
Right.
I mean, it's a lot to unpack, but the reality of it is like, I mean, you got Kobe running around and basically saying everything other than the N-word, and certain things are okay. Now I give Dana his props for this part, for the fact that he didn't punish him immediately. You know, he did have to, because he knew it would be some turmoil if he tried to, slam down the gauntlet on him and kick him out or something like that, because he's always spoken on free speech every time someone's brought up Kobe's situation, Conor's situation, But I think the manner in which he addressed it, I think that came from up high, to be completely honest. Because you have to keep the overlords happy.
Yeah, that's a fact. I'm looking up Bryce Mitchell's record. I don't know much about this guy.
He's nice. He is nice. He coming off a nice win over Kron Gracie, Hickson Gracie's son, a knockout win. I mean, he's legit. He's definitely up there. He did have a roadblock, and stuff like this. And ironically, the guy follows me, man. He's reached out to me online. Yeah. And he got a little.
What happens with this? How do you deal with it?
Quiet as kept. If you ever seen his freestyle, he actually puts words together. All right, little rhymes. If you ever listen to it's hilarious. The hillbilly can rhyme. You gotta check it out. He's a conundrum, to say the least.
He calls himself Thug Nasty.
Thug Nasty.
Where's he from?
Arkansas. Confusing as can be, but yeah, I've actually listened to his freestyle. It'll make you laugh. But given what some of these young boys are putting out, he could find himself on the Billboard charts.
Wow. Well, let me find out. Okay, now Bryce Mitchell had something to say about this.
Conor.
I'm sorry I sounded insensitive, he wrote on Instagram.
Okay.
I definitely was not trying to offend nobody. But
Well,
I know I did. I know I have a lot of people. I know that a lot of people died in the Holocaust, and that's a fact. Hitler did a lot of evil things. I think we can all agree on that. I'm definitely not a Nazi and definitely do not condone any of the evil things Hitler did.
this is also a guy that believes the earth is flat too. So I mean,
Oh, he's a flat earther?
oh, my man is a flat earther, boy. He'll batter you to the death for the flat earth concept. I mean,
Yo, I'm gonna tell you.
it,
Side note: Lord Jamar, who I actually enjoy his podcast, and of course I'm a brand Nubian fan. He's a flat
of
earther.
course.
He's a flat earther.
Oh,
He is
even though on their website it says we have people all around the globe.
oxymoronic, crazy.
Go figure.
Um, what did Conor McGregor do that is similar, Dorian?
To this, well, I'd like for you to type in and read what Conor McGregor has said.
Okay. This is recent or just in general?
Very recent. And I like to just, I can't wait to see your reaction once you start to read.
Oh, well, look at this. Okay, according to Complex Magazine, Conor McGregor reportedly uses N-word in Khabib Nurmagomedov's rant online.
Multiple times.
Online. Well, look at this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Conor McGregor says, when is this? Friday,
Friday.
15 minutes. This is Conor McGregor. 15 minutes, I done Aldo. 15 seconds. Show your wife, N-word. Show your kids, N-word. In a McGregor allegedly wrote in a since deleted tweet. Cousin effing, mother effing, hiding MFer. Show us you and your cousin's kids together because we have kids here in Ireland and want to smoke them in competition. Are they competing or what are you saying? Ireland versus Dagestan? Where's your offspring? We can't wait to see them. The alleged message continues. Who's next? Because Fatso with the coach whistle won't fight. Who the F designated the fat B as master father? Certainly not his own father. Lazy you are, they say. Fight me and make $100 million and give it to the entire village of Dagestan. But you won't. Why? Fat, lazy, scared B, lazy fatso.
Wow.
He was just in Philadelphia, right? For the BKFC joint.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
They should have sent the Muslims with the beards at him, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out to North Philly, man.
And technically, he's still under the UFC banner, I believe, because I believe he still has another fight or one or two more on the contract.
And no
And
white press conference.
nothing. And that just says a lot about the fact that there's certain groups you can say things about, and there's certain groups that you can't. Now, I look at that and what he said, and I look at the young kids, our generation. You know, we have got to stop. We need to go back to the nations of gods and earth, those brothers, the
Yes.
5%ers. When they would tell you, you know, when you would be out there and you start saying that word, they would be quick to check you.
Right.
Quick to check you. If you look at Rakim, arguably probably the originator of gangster rap, and we all know he wasn't no punk. You know
Facts.
what I mean? Never cursed in any of his albums.
Right.
Had a lot of knowledge of self. But now every other word. So part of me is on something like, you know, am I mad? Yes. But also it's like I look at it and gotta look internally and say this is our own fault. We're throwing it out there to the public and using it as making it some sort of, we've taken a word that we are the only group of people who've taken a word and tried to turn it into something positive. One of the most negative words, no other group, ethnic group, is using a derogatory term towards themselves as some sort of term of endearment.
Facts.
And we can't really expect to be taken serious until we start, you know, policing our own. Like, you know, I think we need to start holding some of these young kids accountable. There's no more guidance. There's no more OGs at the top saying, yo, well, slow down, young brother. What are you doing? Like, well, you know, you can't make a record. And I challenge somebody, make a record, make a song. Don't use that word in there once. I don't think a kid could really do it. Make a song. Don't drop that word. I mean, it's every other word. It's in the vernacular like as much as hello. I mean, go a day without saying it.
Yeah, that's crazy. You know,
And I've heard nothing from Dana. There will be no press conference. There'll be nothing, maybe to address the continuing berating of Khabib and the passing of his father. But in terms of that, no, there'll be nothing.
wow. It's interesting. You know, Fat Joe caught the same L recently when he was on a podcast and he said the N-word 50 million times and people was like, yo,
Yep.
what's going on? And as well as while he was talking about foundational Black Americans. And my thing is this when it comes to Fat Joe, right? The problem is first of all, we both grew up in environments where Puerto Ricans, Blacks, Dominicans, we all was mixed up together in poverty,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
or impoverished communities. So what
Mm-hmm.
happens is there's a poverty speak in which the
Mm-hmm.
word has been colloquialized amongst everybody in the ghetto. But the problem
Correct.
is, first of all, I don't condone that, but I understand that when you have a mentality of yourself as being broken and poor, you start to
Mm-hmm.
spread that around because it's normalization of
Yes.
being downtrodden. So you speak in a way that talks to your current state. The problem of
Correct.
mine is that when you get to first of all, we can't. I'm not even talk about Conor McGregor or this Bryce Mitchell because they're not even part of this. Even though I know Conor, I guess, is from the ghetto in Ireland or Dublin, whatever. But regardless, Fat Joe, the fact
I'm
that
sure it's not very melanated in that ghetto
at
either.
all, at all. Shout out to everybody, and I've been to Belfast. Shout out to everybody in Belfast. Hey, nobody come incorrect, and everybody showed me mad love. So we're gonna isolate
I
Conor.
have tremendous, and that's the thing. I have
Yeah,
tremendous. I know we digressing here.
yeah,
I, People that I have tremendous respect for that are Irish. And
absolutely.
let's not forget, they suffered some of, very similar circumstances, not to the extreme as we have, but the Irish, how they
Yeah.
were treated in Europe, even coming over here as indentured servants,
Right.
and he definitely does not speak for the whole community of Ireland because every Irish person I've met, I've known, I have received nothing but love from. Nothing but
Right.
love.
Well, my thing with a Fat Joe or anybody that thinks they can use this word, which we shouldn't even, like you said, we're not even using it anymore. That word is canceled. First of all, if you're gonna roll and say you're rich and show all of this newfound wealth and that you're doing better, why are you still speaking like you're impoverished?
Yeah.
My thing is, let's take the race part out of it and just say that this is for people who want to degrade themselves because they're in a degraded state of mind. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
then take me out of that, right? As a
Right.
character. Well, with that being stated, the moment you came up, why are you still trying to act like a broke person while showing me all your wealth? This is what, for me, negates it, even if you take out the black component of it, because number one, you were saying that as a relatable term for ghetto environments that you don't live in no more. So now you're
Correct.
cosplaying poverty while
Yeah.
telling everybody you up. In fact, you have a song called All the Way Up, but
Yep.
you're now cosplaying poverty by still saying the N-word.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's not one person and this is why I like to get away from the black part. There's not one person black that's living excellently that I had a mentor of that ever condoned that word. So
Never.
them trying to root that word in the black experience is completely fabricated. It's not
Absolutely.
black experience. It's the poverty colloquialized experience that they
Yes.
took this word and they try to stretch it and keep it
Mm-hmm.
foundationally in our realm. No,
Yeah.
the problem is people want to use it because it makes them feel like they're still close to to the people they left. And the
Yes.
reality is that is not the way to go because number one, that's something that we reject as we are on our rise. If you said that back in the day, that might have been because colloquially you just thought it was part and parcel. But once you start growing and raising up and all of that, we all
Yeah.
know, number one, nobody's going to condone this.
No.
And the fact that, to your point about the music not being self-policed and all this other energy, we're done. Like, no.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
part of it is we don't own the music. So we
Right.
don't even own our own music. And we can speak to the group that does, but we don't own our own music.
No.
Um, we put it out there, and a lot of times, people want to get out of circumstance. Remember, I think of it like the Klondike commercial. Remember, what
Right.
would you do for a Klondike bar?
Right.
It's like the same thing. What would you do to get out of your situation? What are you willing? How much of your soul are you willing to sell? You willing to sell your people out? You willing to do anything? I mean, There's no even diversity in hip hop anymore.
Right.
Remember, we used to have the Backpack Club. You had Kwame. You had all these different, so you could find whatever you was into, whatever fit the mood. Now
Fact.
it's all one. You're talking about at first I mean, it all originates from the griots in Africa, the storytellers and things
Yes.
of that nature.
Amen.
And when you think about it, what it ended up turning to be, it would start off with like, this is what I'm seeing in my community. I'm seeing the drug dealer. They were telling you the story of this is what I see with my own eyes. To going to I'm the drug dealer, I'm the kingpin. To now it's to the point where it's just kill, kill, kill.
Right.
And who are they talking about? This whole concept of drill music. It's like, I was like this. The Klan might as well retire. A lot of these rappers to be catching their award at the local KKK convention
Damn.
because they've done more to help the Klan out than the Klan could have ever imagined or done on their own.
Facts.
So most of these hip hop people, because when you talk about, they're talking about an op. What color is the op?
Mm.
No, what color is he? When you
Colors.
talking about I gotta gun him down, his mama, his papa, everybody, what
Right.
color is he? Who are
Right.
you speaking of? And we all know who, and that's the problem. We
Facts.
are committing genocide against ourselves.
That's a fact, man. Well, it's 2025, and Dorian and Rhett are letting y'all know right now the N word been canceled. But if you didn't get the memo, it's canceled. Stop playing with
Answer, done.
Bryce Mitchell,
Bury that.
weirdo. Conor McGregor, you are the worst. I've been not rocking with you.
Nope. I
You're
don't even think Ireland rocks with him.
Yeah, this guy, you know what's so crazy, Dorian? This guy has more cases of sexual assault than a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Dana White, guess what? The same guy who slaps his wife on camera, I don't expect you to do the right thing. You slap your own shorty.
Hey,
That was wild.
We know who you
yo.
are, buddy. You slap you slap your own wife. So
Yes, that
Dorian's
was
point,
wild.
yeah, we know Ari told you to go out there and let them know not to play with the Jewish community, but
Mm-hmm.
you slap your own wife, so you don't even respect your own family. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
These guys are ridiculous. Speaking of the UFC, Israel Adesanya, man, the last style bender got taken out in Saudi Arabia. What do you
Yeah.
think about this? Number one, you have a bunch of Izzy haters. Some of it's
Yeah.
self-inflicted. And by the way, Izzy, we remember when you said Joe Rogan's yo N-word. You got to relax, and you gave him a pass. You got to relax. I don't know what they're doing in New Zealand. When you come over here, keep all of that back over there. We don't go there. But Izzy got knocked out. There's people that want to see Izzy out of the game because they don't like him because he's brash, cocky.
Mm-hmm.
People that are saying give him a pass. It is what it is. He's saying he caught an eye poke and just chose not to go to the corner. What do you think about this whole situation?
I think what's happening is Izzy's game, is kind of catching up to him. I think it does nothing to diminish his legacy. And we forget that Izzy's probably had over 100 kickboxing fights. So we don't know what kind of wear and tear that's put on his body. Are we looking at a guy that's now, while he might be, close to his physical prime in terms of an MMA fighter, we forget that this guy has had hundreds of kickboxing fights. So, what kind of wear and tear did he come into the game with? And then also when you look at it from a style point of view, it's like you have the myth. Well, Izzy was always using his reach. He always had those same tendencies, pulling his head back and things of that nature, because he was able to get away with his reach. And then he had that myth of destroying people. It's almost like once Buster Douglas took Mike Tyson out, it was like, oh
Yeah,
shit, he's human. And
right.
then so I think we saw the same thing with Izzy. Was magical to watch. People were getting mesmerized. Then once Pereira took him out, they were like, wait a minute, this guy's human. Then they looked at Pereira and was like, wait a minute, Pereira might have been a special case. Then Strickland, then DDP, and
Right.
people are like, wait a minute, this he's just human. You know what I mean? What am I doing? Because if you watch the earlier fights with a lot of guys, they were tentative. They were mesmerized. Almost, I'll say, a la like Anderson Silva.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Once the myth gets away and the fear of, oh my gosh, I'm fighting this godlike creature, it's like, wait a minute, this dude is a man. What the fuck am I doing? And so
Right.
I think that's what ended up happening with Izzy. But I don't think it does anything to diminish his legacy. Fans are fickle in general, but
Yeah.
the real ones who understand what he has accomplished, what he's done, and how hard it is for him to do what he has done over the course of a career, not only in MMA but kickboxing as well. I don't think it does anything to tarnish his legacy. He's still getting the bag. They still have to pay this guy. So, I
Facts.
think he'll be okay. Where does he go from here? that's all depending on what the UFC chooses to do. If they do, they want to, obviously he is a very big price point for them. So are they like, look, man, we got to maybe hurry up and rush him out of here, to trim the budget? Or do they go ahead and say, all right, let's give him a little lesser, let's get his confidence back? Because right now, love it or hate it, Izzy's probably one of their only stars. Pereira
Hey, right.
is up there, but his English isn't very good. Pereira's a star because he's just gonna melt your ass. He's a
Yeah.
star for his violence.
Yeah.
Izzy's just a star in all aspects. I mean, let's not forget he had Puma. Puma was rocking with him.
Right.
So, it might behold the UFC to kind of figure out how to get this guy back in form, whatever that may be. Obviously Izzy has to do his own self-searching, but they don't really have any stars if you look at it.
Yo, let me ask you a question. Before he became a UFC star, was he on your radar as a kickboxer?
In terms of
Like just being
competition.
on a kickbox circuit, yeah. Was he on your radar?
No, he was bigger, and he was in China. I was in Thailand doing my thing, and Izzy was much bigger in weight class. But yeah, definitely I knew of Izzy. I mean, he was doing his stint in his tour in China. I was in Thailand, and yeah, I'm very familiar. Then he went over there to Glory, so
Yeah.
fought a lot of the Dutch guys. So yeah, Izzy is he's just a star, and that's it's going to be interesting how the UFC plays it because John Jones is about to check out. Maybe a fight or two left if he even takes the Aspinall
Right.
fight.
Right.
So what are they going to do? If you look at it now, all they do is have a bunch of Muslim big
Yeah.
bearded Dagestanis running
Yeah,
around
bro.
now. Great for the Muslim, for that Islamic connect and that Middle East connect, but let's not forget the UFC, unless they plan on packing up and moving ship to the Middle East. I mean, I don't know how much the US fans are going to really rock with those guys. While they're exceptional talents,
Facts.
where's the star power and how much is the US fan base going to really take to these guys? They don't speak a lot. They're not cursing. They're not lavish. You're not going to see them out there balling. So what do you do?
Hmm. It's real. Every time I see one of these UFC ads and it's one of these Islamic guys, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, I don't know these people. Like, respectfully. I mean, I
Yeah.
get it, obviously, Khabib and all of them, but all of these other cats, I'm thankful that he's opened a lane for these guys. But
Hmm.
for real, it's becoming very homogenized.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
they're losing a big section of the base. And the thing is, there's other competition now that's starting to look viable.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like PFL
Yeah.
is starting to do what it needs to do. Of course,
Hmm.
I'm not gonna say they're competing with bare knuckle, but bare knuckle's having some level of permanence.
Hmm.
And yeah, the UFC is definitely within a rebrand situation, and a person like Izzy not winning is definitely a bigger problem
It
than
definitely hurts him. Now,
yeah.
I was having a conversation with a homie, and he was making a good point. He was like, because I was like, man, they could really market Izzy to the urban community, and then they were like, not really, because when you think of Izzy, like I look at him as like the kid that grew up in Oklahoma to just watch your MTV raps, and that's where he got his urban culture from. Because when you look at Izzy, like as you think about it, he really has no. He's not to make the disconnect, but it is a fact. I mean, he's African. He's from Nigeria. You
Right,
know, we've created our own culture. We have our own culture here as Black Americans, and it's
right,
something that he just doesn't understand. Certain things he doesn't understand. Certain things he hasn't had to go through. As if you look at a guy like a Sadiq Youssef, who uh, is also Nigerian, but he's in PG County, Maryland. So
right,
he has a much greater understanding of what it's like as a African in America. So he has, and then being around Master Lloyd Irvin and those guys, he's around the community. So he's right outside of DC. Whether he's going and hanging out at the Go-Go and all that, he still has those people around him that were involved with that.
right.
What I would like to say is, if the UFC is smart and if this brother can keep winning, get behind Joaquin Buckley. To me, he has
Mm,
the next bit of star power written on him. Out of I think St. Louis, if I'm not mistaken, you
yeah,
can tell he's cool, um, good fighter, and he has that swag about him, that good fighting style. So I don't know what their push is, and I don't even know if they care about the urban community. I don't even know if they really care
yeah.
because somebody made a good point. When's the last time somebody bought a Joaquin Buckley T-shirt? When the last time, you seen one of them running around in Baltimore, DC, somebody rocking like Joaquin Buckley t-shirt,
Never.
you know? And that's the thing. I mean, and then I mean, you were involved on the back end of the UFC organization for a while. So I don't even know if they care or if they even had anyone as a outreach director for urban communities. And I think that's a huge segment of the population that they could benefit from. But right now, they're typically their demographic, and I don't think it's changed that much from the time you were deeply involved with the organization. It's the same fan base as NASCAR.
Yes, completely, bro.
And I don't think I don't think that's changed one bit. Maybe a little, but not that much.
Right. No, that's true. I mean, at least one thing I'll say to NASCAR's credit is at least they will reach out. I mean, people always want to relegate our community to rappers, but
Mhm.
at least they, I've seen NASCAR integrate well with hip hop stars,
Very
like
much so.
Chris, and you know what I'm saying. And I'll say this for Bellator, the old Bellator under Scott Coker's watch, when he aligned with 50 Cent for that tournament, I wasn't even
Hmm.
mad at it because 50 Cent's throwing you a bag, and it's
Yeah,
that was a
yeah.
good look. I mean, sometimes I think a lot of times the
Well, I didn't mean to cut you off. Let me say this. I think we can't forget NASCAR were the first gangsters. It started from bootleggers.
that is true. They are the first gangsters.
They're the first outlaws and gangsters. They started from bootleggers and souping up the cars and everything
Yeah,
like that during Prohibition and stuff, outrunning the cops.
that's
So that's the history of NASCAR to begin with. So you know, if you want to look at it like that, they were the original out. They were the outlaws.
that's a fact. Yeah, UFC, man, I don't think they ever gonna get it right. They never diversify in the office enough. And in terms of marketing and whatnot, they just gonna stick to what they know. The most they'll do is put a hip
Yeah.
hop track underneath a commercial or play it in the arena. That's what they on. That's it ain't going no further than that. They don't want to understand us. Whatever. It is
No.
what it is.
They see that Middle East money and they're going there. And I'm not really mad at them. Again, I'm always looking at, you point one finger at somebody, you got the others pointing back at you. So I'm looking at like our own community. Where are the people in our community that are these so-called leaders, these, whatever they may be, the hip hop moguls, the uh leaders of the community? Well, where are they putting their money? You know what I mean? Are they even interested in doing that? Because it could be very easy for a guy like 50 to come in and say, you know what, I want to partner. We need to do something. Any one of these uh 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 businessmen, successful businessmen, but I just don't think it's in our community. I'm in gyms all the time, and with the exception of a Master Lloyd Irvin, it's only because look, PG County is the blackest place in America. Maybe Atlanta is coming up close, but
Yeah,
let's be honest, you don't have any choice. You're a minority if you're white out in that area. DC was the chocolate city when we were coming up.
right.
Baltimore, you know what I mean? You see a white guy, you're like, man, you lost. Like you don't see very many. So
Right.
it's a scenario of that, just that area, and you have from the ghetto to you have very successful, what is it called, the Gold Coast area in DC, where you have very successful
Right.
black millionaires and things like that. PG County was all started to be middle class. So those people that work the government jobs in DC create a middle class community
Right.
and things like that. But when I'm in these gyms, it's very rare that I see a lot of blacks in there participating. And
Man,
so I just don't think we're even into the sport. I mean, we know certain people. I mean, I had a friend of mine and a cousin talking about, is Royce Garcia still fighting? I said, who the hell is Royce Garcia? And then I had to realize it was Royce Gracie. They were like, yo, the man that comes out in the karate uniform. I said, who the fuck are you talking about? Then I realized that Royce Garcia was Royce Gracie. I was like, nah, man, he been done.
he
And if
been
you think about it, we can, if you was to go around into, metropolitan areas into our community and ask, I'm sure they might mention the Conor McGregor just because of his brashness and loudness. Don't really even know if they'll know John Jones. Um, and I really can't think of any others that they can really name off the top of their head. I mean, of the modern day era, and that is because like we're not really, it's just not being pushed to that community. Now, for right or for wrong, I like to see it more. I mean, I'd actually like to see things being done in the community. I mean, if we can create a PI and do all these other programs, why not fund with? I mean, these local rec centers. Why not start putting it in to these I like to see it done in the schools. Like I was talking in the last time we spoke in our last episode about Brandon Vera and DJ Jackson being out there in Guam and having it in the school system. I think that's something because when you take away the ignorance that we see from some of these guys with the trash talking and the certain things that's off limits, martial arts is about discipline and giving people uh sense of purpose,
Right.
something that a lot of the kids in some of these impoverished communities need. And not to mention, they have a hunger, some of them a love and of violence that they could find their next star coming out of one of these areas. I like to see, maybe an investment into those communities. Pull out another fan base. You could steal something from boxing because we are very entrenched in boxing, like the Mexican community. But I see they're even reaching out to the UFC I'm speaking of, is reaching out to the Latino community, you
Mm.
know, very much so because they want to steal a portion of that uh boxing money. So that's what I would say is they definitely have to reach out. But this is me speaking. Don't know if they even really care or even have thought of it. They seem to be doing well without us. I don't even know if it's even on their radar to go ahead and try and make that sort of reach out. But I
Yeah.
would love to see something, a program like Brandon, DJ, what they're doing over there in Guam. I would love to see that in American school systems.
Yeah, hopefully, shows like this help bridge that gap and encourage more people to get involved, especially like, King Mo told me in the past, he wished more of us would get into wrestling because that was his ticket to go and to get free college. And then eventually he flipped that into MMA.
Yeah.
But just understanding that you might not be a football player or basketball player, man. The mat might be there for you and it might be
Yes.
free school. So I think
Yes.
once we start telling black parents that, then they're like, oh, what? Take your ass over there into that. You know what I'm saying? Put
Yep.
a singlet on, buddy. Um,
Yep. Yep.
Dorian, we know you move around a lot, man. You got any seminars coming up? Where you at next? I know you just came
I
back from.
just came from I just came from one. I was down there McSweeney Martial Arts with James McSweeney. Brought me out there. It was like a real interesting concept. It was like you know, he would do a technique, I'd do a technique, and I found myself like shit, I'm trying to learn your techniques. For those that don't know, James McSweeney been around. We travel similar paths, meaning that, he's originally, I believe, from the UK. Was in the Netherlands for a long time before it was even on anyone else's in the world's radar. Was in the UFC in the ONE FC. Also did a stint in Thailand as well, and has a very unique style and stuff. And actually came up under a guy named Lucian Carbine, a black guy, Surinamese guy in the Netherlands, and that's very interesting. You know what I mean? When you look at the Netherlands and the concept, I mean, the Surinamese, you know. Brothers over there. They have a very strong black pride about them. They also are. It's something that blew my mind when I first went over there to my sensei Ryan Simpson's gym. Was I saw a gym with just all ran by three, four Surinamese brothers was all teaching. I was like, yo, what the hell? Like, it shocked me because it's not something that you would see in America. And then
Right.
you seen, white Dutch, Moroccans, everybody in there together training. Nobody was questioning. Nobody was saying anything. You know what I mean? And I'm not to say, I don't want to paint that brush like, oh, America's just the most racist place on earth, which,
Low
but
key, low key.
there was the diversity there blew my mind. The diversity, the way it is, I'm sure they're not without their own problems, but overall in that sort of atmosphere, you see a lot. And you look at Ryan's family; they're like the Gracies of kickboxing. I mean, cousins world champions. They still have a cousin in Suriname, Angelo, doing this thing, and he's working with Jairzinho Rosenstruck. He's the
So
trainer of him, and it's just amazing. Like there's like kickboxing's in in those communities, just everywhere out there. So I did that seminar. It was really good, man. Got back from it. It was in Plano, Texas. Um, so it was good, man. I learned a lot of cool techniques, and but other than that, don't really have anything coming up other than been working with Jalen Turner. Very, very, very talented young brother. He has a fight coming up. Can't really announce the opponent; it hadn't been released yet. But been working with him and expect big things from him. I mean, I think he's the number 12 in the world right now, at the 155 division, lightweight. So good things. Other than that, I'm enjoying current life, enjoying going to the gym, teaching regular people, you know, a lot less stressful, and just living the good life, brother. Living the good life.
Man, I love it. We're gonna keep hitting y'all fools every week with this 38 chambers. I know at some point, Dorian, you're gonna start breaking down some of the 38 chambers for people who don't know.
Yes, yes,
Breaking down some fights and stuff. But
absolutely.
we want people to know not only is this a system that Dorian has, but it's a lifestyle. Protect your neck, all that. You can go to from Wu-Tang to this man's actual life. It's all one big homogenous.
I'm trying to live like the real Jim Kelly, man.
And you did that.
I mean,
That's done.
Jim Kelly inspired me. I'm trying to be the Jim Kelly like he was in the movies, but I'm trying to live it in real life with a little mix of. I figured since they wouldn't make James Bond black, I was gonna go ahead and live the 007 life.
Man.
I didn't want to wait for them to put him in the movies. I said, well, screw this. I'm gonna go ahead and be the real black 007.
Boom. 38 Chambers podcast, full. Back at you in a minute.
There you go. Peace.